Today, we are going way, way back to the very beginning. We're diving into a text that has, for better or worse, profoundly shaped so much of our world, the book of Genesis. Now, this isn't just about religion. This is a grand, epic story about origins, the beginning of the universe, of us, of choice, and of consequence. It is, you could say, the ultimate story of beginnings. So, for this explainer, our guide is the King James Version of the Bible, and specifically the first book of Moses called Genesis. The language in this version is just, well, it's majestic, it's poetic, and it really gives us the blueprint for the foundational stories we're going to walk through together. And it kicks off with what might be the most famous opening line in all of literature. I mean, think about it. This one sentence sets a cosmic stage. It tells us that before anything else, before time, before space, there was a single, creative act that brought the entire universe into being. So the first major act in Genesis is all about bringing order out of chaos. It describes a world that is literally spoken into existence. It starts from a state the text calls without form and void, basically a dark, empty nothingness, and over 7 days transforms it into a structured, harmonious world.
You'll notice there's this really clear rhythm to it, a step-by-step progression. It's almost like a divine blueprint. It suggests a creator who's super intentional, not chaotic at all. First, you get the most basic thing, light separated from dark. Then, the sky from the sea. After that, land pops up, and with it, all the plants. It's only then that the sun, moon, and stars are put in their place. And finally, the world is filled with animals. And the whole thing culminates with the creation of humankind on the 6th day. And woven through this whole creation story is this incredibly powerful idea of inherent goodness. After each major step, the text repeats this simple little line, and God saw that it was good. It's like this poetic stamp of approval, saying that the world, in its original form, was perfect. And after everything is done on day 6, it's even upgraded to very good. But the 7-day story doesn't end with another big act of creation. It actually ends with an act of stopping. On the 7th day, God rests, and this day is blessed. It's made holy. This simple act of completion sets a pattern for time itself, this rhythm of work and rest that you can still see in cultures all over the world today. Okay, so the universe is built, and now the story does something really interesting. The camera, so to speak, zooms in from this massive cosmic scale to a much more intimate, human one. We focus in on the first 2 people, Adam and Eve, in a perfect garden. And this is where the story pivots from pure creation to human choice and introduces free will, temptation, and some very lasting consequences. So Eden is described as this absolute paradise, a place of total harmony. But right in the middle of it are these 2 very symbolic trees. You've got the tree of life, which represents eternal existence, and then you have the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which, as you can probably guess, becomes the center of humanity's first big test. And here it is, the central conflict laid bare. On one side, you have a very clear, direct command with a pretty scary warning, but on the other, you get the serpent's counteroffer. It's a subtle twist of the truth, right? It introduces doubt, and it appeals directly to that desire for more knowledge, for more power. Ye shall be as gods. I mean, come on, that is a powerful, powerful temptation. So, what happens the moment they make their choice? Well, they don't die, not physically, not right away. Instead, something profound happens inside their minds. Their innocence is just gone, and it's replaced by this brand new awareness of shame, of vulnerability, of fear. That's the knowledge they got. It's this huge shift from a state of simple being to one of complex, messy moral awareness. And the consequences, man, they just spiral out from that one single act. They're kicked out of paradise. Their relationship with the world changes from ease to struggle. And mortality, death, it's now their reality. Tragically, this new world of conflict and pain gets passed on to their kids, which leads to the very first murder, and eventually a world that the text says is just filled with violence.
This cascade of violence and corruption just keeps getting worse until it finally reaches a breaking point. And that leads us to the next major beginning in Genesis. The corruption that started small, in a garden, has now totally consumed the world. The story of Noah and the flood is framed as this huge cataclysmic response, a sorrowful decision to basically hit the reset button and wash the world clean. The text does not pull any punches about why the flood happens.
It speaks of a creator who is just grieved by what his creation has become, seeing that the thoughts in the human heart were only evil continually. So the decision to send a flood is really presented as a last resort, born out of this profound disappointment.
And it rains for 40 days and 40 nights. That number, 40, it's symbolic. It often represents a long period of trial or transformation. And this wasn't just some big storm. The text describes it as an act of decreation. It's like the world was being returned to that watery chaos from the very, very beginning.
The sheer scale of this event is just staggering. I mean, it's not over quickly. It takes more than a year from the time the rain starts until the earth is totally dry again. You can feel the time passing, the slow receding of the water, the ark finally coming to a stop, Noah sending out the birds. It all builds this incredible sense of anticipation for a new, clean world to finally emerge. But after all that destruction, the final act of this origin story is one of promise and of hope. With Noah and his family and all the animals finally stepping out of the ark, a brand new relationship is established between the Creator and the creation. And it's founded on a solemn promise.
And at the very heart of this new beginning is an unconditional promise. This is the core of what's called the covenant, a declaration that no matter how bad things might get, life on Earth will never again be wiped out by a global flood. It really marks a huge shift towards divine patience.
And the symbolism here is just beautiful. A weapon of war, the bow, is placed in the clouds, but it's not aimed down at the earth. It's transformed into a beautiful reminder of a promise. The rainbow becomes this lasting, universal symbol of this new beginning, a sign of hope after the storm.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. These narratives from Genesis about creation out of chaos, the incredible weight of a single choice, the hope of a fresh start, they're so much more than just ancient texts. They're foundational stories that have seeped into our art, our laws, and our deepest questions about who we are. So the question is, how do you see their echoes in the world around you?